Good morning, everyone. Good to have you with us. Just start with a quick introduction of myself. So my name's Tom. I live in Kent, and I'm married with kids. Homeschooling my kids at the minute. They're doing their maths exams, so I've been doing simultaneous equations this morning. I don't know if you remember that from school. I've worked in mental health for 20 years. Various different roles. For the last 6-7 years, one of the things I have been doing is training mental health first aid. I also work as a coach and wellbeing trainer, so I do other types of training other than this. I'm just finishing a master's in applied positive psychology at East London University, so that's about the science of wellbeing. So that's something I'm particularly interested in. And my research project is around employee well-being. So I'll be doing research in the next couple of months on employee well-being and the link with wanting to leave work. So Amy's going to just put in the chat function a link to our YouTube channel. If you want to be able to send this webinar to someone else, if it's of interest, then you can obviously have a look there. There's lots of other videos that we've done over the last few years in there, which might be helpful, just short little videos, which you might be able to make use of. Also, previous webinars. So the webinar in December, we did a webinar on the Great Resignation. And what it is that we can do about that when it comes from a well-being perspective. So if that's of interest to you as well, then check that out. So thank you, Amy. So there's the YouTube link. So plenty of videos on there from me and some of the other colleagues at Changing Minds Kent. Okay, I'd like to just start with, let me just see if I can share my screen with you all. Here we go. Hopefully you can all see that. Amy, is that showing okay? Great. Okay, so workplace wellbeing webinar. So what is mental health first aid? Just checking that you're in the right place. This isn't a spin class or a pottery class. This is what is mental health first aid. So the first thing I suppose I want to just ask people, just using the chat function, I'm just kind of interested, whereabouts in the world are you? So if you have a little look at the bottom of your page there, you should have a chat function which pulls up the chat box. Can you just let us know whereabouts in the world you currently are? So it's interested to know where people are. Excellent. We've got some local people. Margate, Kent, yeah, Broadstairs, just down the road. So for those of you local, I'm in Manston, not far from the Jolly Farmer. We've got people from Germany, Rochester, Berwick-upon-Tweed. Excellent. So largely UK based. It's fine. Therese, if you're coming from Germany, that's also cool. Nice to have you with us. Okay. I'd also like to maybe just ask you all as well, why it is you're here. It's nice to sort of get a sense of the room. So I'm going to launch a Zoom poll. So you have this kind of pop up on your screen. And it's just basically asking you why you're here today. It's an anonymous question. So why are you here today? Are you interested, for work reasons, for personal reasons? Is it just general interest? Or have you got nothing better to do and you thought you would just join a webinar? Excellent. Oh, no one's chosen the last one. Got nothing better to do. It's very kind of you. You're all here for a reason. Okay, so just so you've got a kind of sense of why people are here. We've got most people are here because they're interested, for this for their place of work. Some for personal interest, others for general interest. Okay, that's good. Okay, so that just sort of helps me, when I'm kind of talking, I sort of know where people are, what their interest is and why they're here today. Okay, so let me just carry on sharing my screen. So yeah, we're all reasonably local. Well, Berwick-upon-Tweed, that is a nice place to be. Whoever's from Berwick-upon-Tweed, I've been there, lovely. Okay, so who are we? I suppose one of the things I wanted to just kind of get across to you all is that we are a non-profit organisation, and what that means is that when we do training with local organisations, housing associations, estate agents, you name it, we kind of work with lots of different people in and around Kent and into London and even further afield. Because we're non-profit, it means that we're also kind of running community projects. Community projects are looking at kind of well-being. So if you kind of work with us, just bear that in mind. There is some kind of social value with the kind of work that we're doing. So yes, we do kind of the training in workplaces like this. There's some training just for a couple of months ago up in London. They had some very nice offices. So we said, can we have a photo? There's a couple of my colleagues there on the left. And there's some people there that are doing mental health first aid. And this is some of the kind of local stuff, which it helps to support some stuff in our kind of local schools. We're doing some kind of something like well-being opportunities for kids. So that's what some of this goes to fund. So just so you know, that's our kind of setup. Now, this is an interesting bit of research. This is from before the pandemic. Who contends with poor mental health, and how can we tell? Well, I say new survey. It was new when I probably put it in here. It's not new anymore because it's 2019. But public health survey from 29 reveals more than 8 in 10 have experienced early signs of poor mental health in the last 12 months, including feeling anxious, stressed, low mood, trouble sleeping. So what do we learn from that is that most of us are contending with something at some point. Or if we think about our colleagues, it's not uncommon that people are stressed or they're anxious. There's stuff going on that's affecting them. So I always like to kind of show this slide because it means that we're all in the same boat here. We're all kind of contending with the same things. Apologies for the poor resolution. I just kind of took a screen grab from Office of National Statistics. So this is just from some research that they've just kind of released. Again, I just want to just kind of set in the scene a little bit. The green, this is percentage of adults with moderate to severe depressive symptoms here in the UK. So can you see there, like prior to the pandemic in green was about 10%. That's where we were at. During the pandemic, can you see we're up to nearly 20%, or certainly last winter it was above 20%. That's 1 in 5 people with moderate to severe symptoms of depression. So there's a lot going on, and I do think it probably has been driving kind of an interest in mental health generally, both personally and in the workplace. There are issues that everyone's contending with because it's affecting work. So that's the scene. And if you like, I don't know how this would work. If you've got any questions about anything that I'm talking about, feel free to throw them in the chat function. If I see them, I'll answer them. If I miss them, apologies. I'll look through at the end and maybe we'll have a little question and answer it at the end. Okay, so just setting the scene there. This is where we're at. It's not awful, but it's not great either. And certainly the pandemic's had a big impact on people's well-being. I just want to try just a little kind of interactive quiz with you. So I'm going to mute that one, if that's possible. Yeah, lovely. Okay, so little quiz question. See how good you are with your kind of stats when it comes to mental health. So this is a true and false quiz. Okay, true and false. And I think I'm going to ask you this question via the poll. So what do you think? 10% of people report experience common mental health problems, for example, anxiety and depression, in any given week. What do we think? Do we think that's true? Do we think false, it's higher, or false, it's lower? So just give you a little opportunity to answer. Don't worry, if you get it wrong, there's no like certificate at the end of this or anything. It's just out of interest. So let me just end the poll here. So this is what you all said. So most of you think that it's high. A few of you think it's true. The answer is yes, it's false. It is high, nearly 17%. So just think about what that means in your friends and family group. What does that mean for your place of work? And anxiety and depression very much presents even as like people being stressed, seeing the negative, being worried about it. So let's have a stop sharing that. Let's just relaunch the poll again, and let's ask this next question. So approximately 30% of adults with mental health problems get any type of treatment. Only 30%. What do we think? 30% sound about right, or do you think it's lower, or do you think it's higher? What do we think? So there's getting treatment for mental health issues. Excellent. Just give you another couple of seconds. Excellent. Okay. So this is what you've all said. Vast majority you've plunked with false, it's lower. And if you'd said that, you'd be right. Why? Because it's only 16%. So you think about, if you've got like 10 people you work with who have, some sort of mental health problem, we're only saying like one or two of them actually getting treatment for it. And there's lots of reasons for that. That's not even for the want of trying sometimes. Sometimes there are systemic issues, trying to get, a GP appointment. There are issues, aren't there? Okay, what about this next one? Let me just stop sharing and reset this poll. Our third one, 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts at some point in their life. True or false? What do we think? Well, you guys are good. I wonder if, I'm just kind of interested. Maybe some of you have been on mental health first aid. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out later on. Just give you another couple of seconds on that one. Okay. Very good. There we go. Just going to end that poll, share that with you. So most of you are saying it's true. Some think it's false. It's high or false. It's lower. The answer is that it's true. 1 in 5. So we're talking about 20%. Now we're talking about suicidal thoughts here. We're not talking about suicidal actions necessarily. Like attempts. 1 in 5. What about this next one? Of those, 1 in 3 will attempt suicide. What do we think? True or false? 1 in 3. Okay. I'm just going to give you another couple of seconds on this. Okay. If you haven't answered, don't worry. This is what people are saying. Most people are saying it's true. Some think it's lower, actually. It is in fact true. So about 1 in 5, which is about 20% of people, suicidal thoughts at some point in life. 1 in 3 of those, so we'll talk about 6-7%, will actually make an attempt on their life. Things have become that bad for them. Let's just look at our last quiz question now. Just relaunch the poll for you. What do you think about this? This is just a true or false. Doesn't matter which false you choose. The most common mental health problem is mixed anxiety and depression. What do we think on that one? Okay. Very good. Just going to give you another couple of seconds. Yes. Okay. Let me just share those results with you. So vast majority of saying that is true. If you said it's true, then you'd be correct. 8% in any given week. So you think about here, we're looking at 17% mental health problems in general. About half of that is just mixed anxiety and depression, which is kind of presenting itself as people being stressed, As if depression's not bad enough, you've got anxiety as well. As if anxiety isn't bad enough, you've got depression as well. So that's quite a thing to contend with. Okay, so that's just a little quiz. I'm just going to stop sharing there. Okay. So you're here to ask the question, what is mental health first aid? Now, it's really kind of interesting to me because I was having, trained mental health first aid for 6-7 years. You can get yourself into a little bit of a bubble and think everyone knows what mental health first aid is because, you're talking about it so much, but obviously not. You're here today to find out a little bit more about that. So I'm just going to give you like a little bit of an overview. And then I'm just going to show you a video, just a couple of minutes, which might be of interest. So mental health first aid, internationally recognised course, was originally put together in Australia, but the Department of Health in the UK brought it here about 20 years ago. So the way that it works is people have to train to offer mental health first aid. And we have 3 trainers here at Changing Minds Kent. So this is not something that we've come up with. It is a nationally sort of kind of recognised qualification, probably, arguably like a gold standard type qualification. The government have spoken about possibly being mandatory in the future, just like we have physical first aid. They're talking about in large organisations having mandatory mental health first aid. So you'd have a mental health first aider in your place of work. Now, they come in a few different varieties. There is a 2-day version, a 1-day version, and a half-day version. So depending on your kind of your organisation or you personally, different organisations kind of use these trainings in different ways. So the half-day is a little bit better for it just being a general thing to kind of put out there for more people. The 1-day is particularly popular with managers. Maybe they don't have quite time for 2 days, but maybe they can do the 1-day. And the 2-day is probably best for people in your place of work who might consider themselves like a mental health first aid champion. And maybe you would just have like a smaller proportion of people who do the 2-day version. So these are the kind of individuals who will be, in and around your place of work, who are kind of trained as mental health first aiders. I wouldn't necessarily be having like everyone having done the 2-day, although in one of my other organisations that I work with, we do actually train everyone in 2-day, just because it's that good. So everyone is a mental health first aid champion in the place of work. The recommended retail prices, and this is something that you'll find kind of across the board for these the training, just by way of cost. But I'll tell you in a little bit about some of the discounts that we're kind of offering on the training costs. Now, there are different versions of mental health first aid. So originally it was just set up as an adult one. So you get adult 2-day, 1-day, half-day. And then they sort of realised there was a real need for youth. So you might imagine, like certainly in schools, in fact, it was actually funded by the government a little while ago for schools to have people who are trained in youth mental health first aid. Again, 2-day, 1-day, half-day. And there's also a couple of other little flavours. There is a higher education version and an armed forces version. Just so you know, we don't offer those, but others will. And I'll tell you more about that if you want to go on one of those courses. So I'm just going to get you guys to watch a quick video, just a couple of minutes. People talking about having done mental health first aid. What you'll see is different people in different kind of lines of work. So I just wanted to come back here so I can share my sound. Hopefully this will work.
In the salon, I have all sorts of conversations. We're dealing with people one-to-ones all day, every day. We're in a very unique position of trust, so people often open up to us.
It's so important in society to be aware about mental health, because we all have mental health. As a teacher, I've always wanted to help young people, but I've not always known how to do that. That's why I took the Youth Mental Health First Aid course.
Working in the police could be very challenging work. Well, mental health first aid training gives you the knowledge and the skills to signpost someone to get the help that they might need.
In my role as talent leader, I see the amount of pressure that people are under in our high performance culture. I thought it would be a really useful thing for me to do to understand the effects of that pressure on our people.
We're trained on health and safety all the time, and this is the perfect addition to that training.
Mental Health First Aid England offers courses for all industries and specifically focuses on providing initial help for co-workers, families and friends.
The 2-day mental health first aid course gave us the confidence and the ability to react in the correct way when people are talking to you about their mental health.
In the police, it's really helped us to recognise when somebody might be experiencing mental ill health and for us to know what to do next.
The training's personally helped me being able to approach individuals, not just to ask them how their day's going, but to really talk to them and to offer some support.
Just a week after I'd completed the training, a pupil came to me with suicidal feelings. Having done the training, I was in a position to calmly respond to that situation. It's an incredible feeling to know that you've done something to help a young person who's struggling.
Mental
Health
First
Aid
England.
Excellent. Just checking. You all heard the sound on that, didn't you? Yeah, good. Sometimes I do worry. You know, you're just kind of putting it out there and just hoping that it's all working okay. Excellent. So I just want to tell you a little bit more about the mental health first aid training. And again, in the chat function, if you have questions, just throw them in there. Maybe I might answer them, or you know, we can might be able to kind of answer them at the end. So just a little bit more about this. What's mental health first aid good for? I think it's about it's good for increasing awareness. You know, this kind of sense of that there's something going on with people. It just makes people a bit more switched on to kind of what's going on with people. Which in turn increases their confidence. Sorry, 1 second. I need to share my screen without the sound. That's better. And it's also good for this kind of idea of peer support, the idea that people at work support one another. I mean, having worked as a manager, it's very hard. You can't be like helping people all the time. That, you know, you've got a business to run. So you really want everyone to be able to pull together, and that you have other individuals. And so with mental health first aid champions, people who might do, say, the 2-day course, you want them at various different levels in your organization so that there's always someone around, there's someone kind of approachable. What does it cover? Or what doesn't it cover? I mean, I think it depends on which version you do. The 2-day version is certainly very comprehensive. The 1-day version, we kind of start to cut things down a little bit, concentrate a little bit more on depression, anxiety. And the half-day is just more of a broad kind of sweep around, you know, just mental health awareness. It kind of covers this kind of idea how to provide initial support. So not training people to be counselors, it's not training people to be, you know, psychotherapists. You know, it's just about it's mental health first aid. You know, what do you do in that immediate situation? How do you signpost? Where, you know, how do you help that individual? So we do kind of cover things like listening skills. We do kind of listening skills practice, signposting skills, making sure that you know where, you know, if you want to be able to refer them on to counselling, you know, what does that look like? Are there other support organisations that you can kind of support people to kind of signpost them to? Some good questions here, which you'll know if you ever come on the course. Do you know the difference between a heart attack and a panic attack? Interesting question, because they're very similar. Are there any telltale signs that someone is suicidal? I mean, can you tell if someone's suicidal? Again, good question. How do you help someone who's depressed? I mean, that can be incredibly challenging. So we have good conversations, and it's very kind of practically orientated. Mixed learning. So at the minute we're conducting mental health first aid online. So we use kind of breakout room discussions, personal reflection. We have a whole number of kind of videos from real people who've contended with anxiety and depression. We hear their stories, what was helpful, what wasn't. We use quizzes, case studies, question and answer, practice conversations. Just so you know, I've just got one here. Just some of the things that you get with mental health first aid. You get a manual. This is the 2-day manual. It's a bit of a whopper. It's about 272 pages long. We don't go through this, like page by page, but we just do kind of make reference to it. Sometimes it's got some kind of interesting pages with like kind of different stats and stuff like that. There's also a lot of helpful resources in the back if you're kind of looking for something kind of specific to kind of help people with. So yeah, everyone gets one of these manuals. The 1-day version is a little bit smaller. We also get a workbook which we kind of use when we're kind of going through the day, and then we have these kind of little kind of handout things, little action plans which kind of people can wear around on their lanyard. We max out the numbers at 16 people, just so that there's not too many people. Everyone has a bit of a chance to talk. Minimum 8 people. Although if you're doing a half day, there is actually room to increase that out. So that's why it's a good one, just for kind of, if you've got lots of employees, that's a kind of good one. You're going to get more people on the half day aware course. There's no exam, there's no test. You get a certificate of attendance after. So the way that it works, certainly online, is that after you've done a course, you'll be sent an email, which they do to kind of collect like a survey from everyone who's undertaken the course, because we want to make sure the quality is good. And once you've filled out your survey, then you get an e-certificate. I just want to quickly show you an example of some of the feedback that we have got. These kind of questions that get asked. So this is just a course that me and one of my colleagues was doing last year. So we kind of asked people what their confidence was before and after, what their knowledge is like before and after, and then we asked people to score out of 10, for the instructors, how likely they would to recommend. I just want to kind of highlight just some of the comments, really. Brilliant interactive course. Trainers were amazing. Well, this is a very difficult subject, but the trainers made the course feel a safe space that most of us were able to share personal experiences, and that does happen. We try and create that space that people can actually talk about real things in their own lives, maybe friends and family that are contending with these things, or even yourself. So personal experience throughout to validate thinking and learning. Everyone felt able to join in, ask questions about things if they were not sure. Thanks, guys. So just a little sort of example of some of the kind of feedback that we kind of collect afterwards. So yes, it's a highly kind of rated training. Now, I just want to let you know about some of the training that we're doing. We've got some discounted training on offer if you are interested. We do have some spaces left. We're not the only training provider. If you see there at the bottom, mental health first aid, mhfaengland.org, you'll find other trainers. So if these dates don't suit you, there are other trainers. I know there are a few other trainers locally, and they're all over the country, and they'll be running on different days and stuff like that. But I just want to let you know about some of the ones that we're offering. So we're running a 2-day mental health first aid online. We're splitting it over 2 Wednesdays in February, and we've currently got those kind of discounted. There's only about 5-6 places left for the 2-day. We're running a 1-day in March, and we just added some new dates as of this morning for youth half day, if that's of interest. I think we've got some schools that we're working with who are interested in putting some teachers through. So we're running in March and May a half day youth mental health first aid. So Amy, can you just put that link, see that Eventbrite link, that will be in the chat function, and I think we might email that afterwards. So if you're interested, we do have a number of spaces left on the one next month. It would be great to have you come along if that's something of interest. You just want to come along even as a single person and join in, that would be great. Okay, What else was I going to cover? Yes. Okay, so say you've done your mental health first aid. I suppose I just want to kind of let you know just some of the other things that we're doing. If you're interested in like well-being at work, I would say mental health first aid is a really good foundation for starting new conversations, and starting to change the culture towards one where it's okay to have conversations in a workplace. And we've worked with numerous organisations over the last couple of years to be able to achieve that, and has worked really well. So I would certainly say, step one, if you're looking for a strategy, step one, certainly like mental health first aid. Whether it's, I wouldn't necessarily talk about putting everyone in your organisation through it, unless you wanted to, but certainly having some key individuals that could be kind of quite helpful in kind of showing as an organisation that you've got an interest in your employees and your colleagues' well-being. But what else might be helpful if you're thinking about strategy going on after that? What comes after mental health first aid? Well, these are some of the things that we're working with other organisations and offering training on. So I did mention that I'm doing a master's in applied positive psychology, and so we've got a number of interactive workshops. PERMA, that's a well-being model from Martin Seligman. Measuring improving well-being, building resilience and coping skills, managing stress, with a little bit on communication skills, building well-being in teams and organisation, that's psychological capital, identifying using strengths and values. So it's very kind of positively orientated. They're great kind of little punchy workshops, sort of like maximum 20 people. We're currently doing them online at the minute. I did one yesterday with folks from District Council. Which one was it? PERMA, I think. We did managing stress with them last month. So they're just nice little things to be able to have in on the calendar. So if you're interested in having a conversation about, what's in those workshops, what do you cover? There's plenty of information on that, the models and stuff that we're using in there, and on what the training kind of looks like. So that's just some of the other things that might be of help, that we're kind of offering out to businesses as well. Okay. I think I won't cover this, but if you're interested in a strategy, well-being, if someone said to you, we need a strategy for well-being, what do I do? Well, we can help with that. I will probably share these slides with you afterwards. So there's a slide here, 7 things you can do in your workplace. Where do you start? What kind of things can you do? So just some helpful kind of things, particularly if you are in Kent. I will just highlight this. Our friends over at Medway Council have got a Kent and Medway Healthy Workplaces. It's a free thing that you can sign up to, where you kind of pledge like well-being at your place of work, and you actually get that certificated for free. So it's something you can use to sort of promote your place of work as a place of work that is interested in well-being, that can maybe help with recruitment and retention. Okay, we won't go through that. I will. Is it possible, Amy? Have you got the link for this? You have. So stick this link. If you're also interested, we've got this little workplace well-being quiz, and just answer a number of questions. It gives you like a bit of a report like this, about what's going well and what isn't going well, maybe in your place of work. It could be a little helpful kind of review about how things are in your place of work. What will probably happen if you do this is my colleague Colin will probably give you an email or a telephone call just to have a conversation with you, just to see if there's anything we can do to help. So it's a bit of a shameless lead generator, but it's only Colin, a colleague, will probably just give you a call, just check in, just to see if there's anything we can offer, just have a conversation about what's going on in your place of work. So Amy will just throw that link in the chat, in case you want to spend 5 minutes having a little think and a review about your place of work and what's going well and what isn't. Okay, I think I just want to finish with this again, like just thinking about social value, because there are other trainers out there that do other bits and pieces by way of mental well-being, but working with us, is helping to support the local community, because we're profit to people, we're a non-profit organisation. So as a business, it looks good to kind of partner up with a non-profit, and that's I think especially these days in the world of like large corporate organisations, it's nice for local businesses to sort of feel like in some way they're kind of partnering with kind of local community organisations. So that is the presentation. What is mental health first aid? If you'd like a cup of tea and a Zoom chat about anything that I've spoken about today, if you've got any questions, then feel free to give me an email. I've got Colin's email there and James's email. I don't know why, just if you wanted to email them, I suppose you could do. Sometimes Colin comes on these webinars as well, so that's why I've got his email there. So just if you've got any kind of questions. So I think that's it. That's pretty good. 40 minutes. I'm taking up too much of your time. Does anyone have any questions? If you do have questions, feel free either to unmute yourself and ask, or to throw it in to the chat function. And if you think that this has answered all your questions, and you don't have any other questions, then job done as far as I'm concerned. Sue, we've got people putting their hands up. Sue, you got a question?
It's not really a question, it's an inquiry really. I suppose it is a question. Do you sort of take your work into the trauma-informed arena?
Sorry, say that again, Sue?
I said, are you taking the mental health first aid into the trauma-informed arena?
You'll have to tell me, what do you mean by
okay, the initiative, adverse childhood experiences, yes, and the trauma that's experienced by young people. I mean, what you've just sort of presented on fits very well with the need for organisations to be trauma-informed, right, and to understand what's happening to their staff, not what's wrong with people, but the move is to what's happening to people, so you can get underneath it. So I just wondered if your offer includes anything to do with that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think if you were interested, I'd probably plug you in the conversation with Colin. Colin does the youth mental health first aid. So in talking about trauma and ACE and stuff like that, and the impact of that on people, then he might be a good person to have a conversation with. But yeah, I suppose I want to say, when it comes to the mental health first aid England, this is the course is incredibly well researched. I think that the last 30 pages are just references. So it's a well referenced course, being put together by mental health professionals, psychiatrists, psychologists, and stuff like that. And I think when you kind of see the manual, I think you'll be pleased that we're not going through it page by page, because it probably would take you about 5 days. And it's a really handy, book to kind of keep a door open, but it is very well researched. I don't have access to the youth mental health first aid one. I'll be very surprised if it doesn't make reference to the adverse childhood experiences issue.
Yeah, I think it does. I've actually gone through the 2-day course, so
okay.
I've got the materials. I was just interested in you as an organisation, so I'll follow it up offline and see what we can do.
Yeah, excellent. All right, thank you for coming on too. Gary, did you have a question?
Yeah.
Oh, I was asked to unmute. There we go.
Sorry, Matt, I was just going to ask about the youth course. Is that in addition to the 2 days mental health course in February, or is it a bolt on, or is it something completely different?
Yeah, so they're all kind of standalone courses. So the 2 day, 1 day, half day, they're all standalone. So the one that we're running, the youth half day, is open to the general public. It's just a half day. You don't need to do anything else other than just that half day. So it's just a kind of separate one. I don't think we've got it on our Eventbrite page just yet, but I think Amy was planning to put that on in the next day or so. And am I right in thinking, Amy, that we've got some of our schools signing up to some of that? Is that right? Is that why we're doing it?
Yeah, that's the plan. So it's going out to schools that have been in touch, that are interested in either in some of their staff members, like heads of year, attending.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. Does that answer your question, Gary? So yeah, it's just a half day. I suppose the other thing, just to kind of let you know, if you're kind of thinking, this is something I'd like to bring into my place of work in like a little bit more fully, of course we can organise training like just in-house. As long as we can get the numbers together, that we can probably do better discounts if we're actually just coming in, just delivering to like a set of individuals. Sometimes we might get like 2 workplaces together, to sort of share the cost a little bit. That can be helpful. But currently, I suppose right off now, we're probably just doing it online. Although it's easier just for communication and stuff like that. We don't get to have the polls and stuff like that when we're doing it live, but I think it's more than made up for the fact we can actually see people, and so we kind of get paper out and pens, and we kind of do kind of group work and stuff like that. It works really kind of quite well. So we will be doing face-to-face, I imagine, kind of later this year. So it depends. Again, we do have some, as you see, some online ones sooner rather than later, but we might be doing some face-to-face later in the year once we're sort of risk assessed it's safe and stuff like that. So we'll be doing that in and around Kent later this year. Any other questions from anyone? Just 2 day. Yeah, so just to answer your other question, Gary, does the 2-day Feb course cover youth? What you might imagine is there's a lot of crossover, like the mental health, like a 16-year-old is still a person, when they get to 19, things aren't massively different. But the youth mental health first aid course was just something they sort of felt like they wanted to kind of specialize in because there was a real need. So the stats and some of the approaches in the youth mental health first aid are just slightly different from the adult version. You're just kind of bearing in mind that, you're working with children. People are a bit, the children are more vulnerable compared to an adult. So the approaches are just slightly different. I wouldn't say that the course is massively different. There's a lot of the themes and a lot of the issues are very similar. But it's just, I suppose they just wanted something that was just slightly better quality. Having stats that related to a 15-year-old rather than an adult. We want to sort of hone in on that a little bit more. Yeah, the 2-day course is still really good and really helpful. But yeah, if you're looking for youth specifically, then it's worth doing the youth, or even doing them both at some point. They both got their kind of benefits. I just want to let you know, just there on the chat function, Amy's put the score app if you'd like to score your organization. Just a little free wellbeing quiz, see how your company performs. So the link's there. If you would like a copy of the slides, then feel free to just sign up to our newsletter. It's just like a MailChimp newsletter. You might even, just through the registration process, put your emails on there. If you get an email and we're annoying you, feel free to unsubscribe. We don't put out many newsletters because it's too much hard work, isn't it, Amy? So we're just like once a month. It takes a bit of time to put them all together, doesn't it? But yeah, normally the newsletter will just let you know if there's any training going on and what have you, and maybe the odd kind of video or little blog or something like that. But okay, question from Calvin. May I know what is the difference between adult and youth? Is that right, Calvin? You want to know the difference between adult and youth? As I was sort of explaining to Gary, they are very similar. I would sort of say, 80% it's the same. But what they sort of found They initially started with the adult mental health first aid, but then of course they had loads of professionals coming to them who were like teachers and social workers saying, this is great, but can we have something that's just a bit more youth specific? So they changed up the course and made it a youth version. Again, I don't train on that one. My colleague Colin does, so he'd be able to tell you a little bit more in depth about it. But what I do know, just some of the approaches are a little bit different. Some of the models are slightly different. It's largely the same, but you know, the stats particularly, you want to get a real kind of sense of what's going on right now with, you know, child and adolescent mental health. It is a real issue, and I'm not surprised that people are asking about that. But yeah, I mean, a good place to start maybe would be to come along to the half day, just a half day awareness, you know, and then maybe look to see if we can organise one of the, like a 1 day or a 2 day youth. I suppose it will, if we're doing it out to the general public, it will kind of depend on whether we can get the numbers, because mental health first aid with their licensing need like a minimum number of people. They won't let you run a course with 6 people, 5 people. You do need like a minimum number of people, so that's a bit of an issue sometimes. But we are working with a number of schools now, so no doubt there's probably a little bit of an interest in that if teachers and what have you can actually get a bit of time to do that. So all that leaves me to say, unless there's any other questions, is thank you very much for coming along. Enjoy the rest of the day, enjoy your weekend. You've got my email here, Thomas.jeffs at changingmindskent.co.uk, or you can email Colin if you're interested in anything, you've got any questions about youth, mental health first aid. And yeah, if you are registered, then you probably get these slides anyway, emailed out to you at some point by Amy. Thank you very much, Amy. So yeah, if you've got any questions, yeah, give us an email. We're only down the road to most of you. It was nice to meet you all. Good luck with everything you're doing. Have a good day, look after yourselves, and take care.